Place. Hot sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hot sports all plays.
Good morning. We back. Hey, the touchdown crew on week 13. I got my boy Randy Jowers to my right. I got my boy Mike Hughes down at the bottom. How you guys doing, man?
Good.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna start off. Like I said, usually you know how we do it. We start with Monday's night football game and work our way of all NFL news through the week. Monday night football game, Seahawks, Washington football team. What you think, Randy?
I think it's a battle of average teams right now, but Washington, believe it or not, has a chance right here to get in the playoffs. I think they're sitting in the 7th seed right now, and we haven't seen the Seahawks look good, since Russell Wilson's been back. So it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people, I've heard some articles about, is it time to move on from Pete Carroll? And man, that's going to be a tough one. A Super Bowl winning, coach getting fired in a year where all his players were hurt. That'd be the first one since Tom Coughlin. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think the Seahawks are going to get the ship righted this Monday night.
Oh, do you really think so?
I think they're going to win. I just don't believe in Washington. If I got to take Russell Wilson, even with a broke hand, over Heineke, I'm doing it all day.
No, they already played. They lost.
Oh, yeah. That's what. You're right. My bad. I'm looking at the wrong note. I'm already heading forward into this week. I think that's what I mean. Washington getting the win and getting back into playoff contention with that. That's where I was going. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong note. So, but Pete Carroll, back to him for just a second, looking to move on from him in a year where he's had so many injuries. I just can't really see that being the case, but you can make a case for it because the guy is the oldest coach in the NFL. He doesn't call plays on either side of the ball. I mean, you got to be a specialist. And I think that he's made some questionable decisions. Like, number one, I'm always going to go back to this. He passed the ball on 1st and goal in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Mike, what do you think? You think this is Pete Carroll's end?
I think it is. But I'm not going to sit here and say that this is all Pete Carroll. My biggest problem right now as I look at it, and especially in that Washington game, Chase Young isn't there. And they still have a monster D-line in the trenches. I do believe in Washington. I believe in everything Washington's doing. They have regressed, but it's that same conversation where it's like when you're so good a year prior, it's hard to replicate that perfectly. But yeah, they haven't been exactly what everyone wanted them to be. But at the end of the day, my biggest problem with Seattle is ever since Marshawn Lynch left, you haven't established a run game, whether that be with Penny, whether that be with whoever. They just haven't replicated that of being Marshawn Lynch. I look at it. Collins had 7 carries for 14 yards. Dallas had 3 carries for 14. And Russell Wilson actually led the running back core with 2 carries for 16 yards. And that's just awful. Now, I look at it and I say, I know what Pete Carroll can do if he does have an actual run game. I believe in Lockett. I don't think he's washed. I think Lockett, with DK actually is a lot better than without. I think DK is an ascending talent. I still believe in Russ. Even though, he's going through it right now. But it's definitely one of those things where the line is shit. I get that. I definitely get that. But let's be real about these Seattle offensive lines throughout the years. Even in those Super Bowl days, they weren't the best. They weren't the best by any means. They were solid, but they weren't great. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something I look at that. It's the same thing with Stafford. It's the same thing I feel like with Josh Allen. The biggest reason why you say, okay, well, these guys look horrible is because they're one-dimensional and they have no real run game behind them other than themselves. So I look at it like that for the case of Russell Wilson, but for the case of Pete Carroll, it's a long time in coming. It's the same thing with Coach. We've talked about it with Matt Nagy. When you're averaging 13 to 15 points, no matter who you have at the end of the day, if you're doing it in consecutive years, you're going to be on the hot seat. So Pete Carroll, without a doubt, is on the hot seat, in my opinion. I feel like his offense has been figured out for years. But at the same time, I look at it and I go, if this was the year it were to happen, not having Russ for several weeks and then not having a run game at all or an offensive line, he's getting the short end of the stick. But again, it all comes down to him recruiting and drafting the right people. So I definitely do see both sides of it.
Okay. I mean, my biggest, I think after the Super Bowl, and I'm looking at it right now, you lost in the division round, missed the playoffs, lost the wild card round, lost the division round, lost the wild card, not making the playoffs this year. I think it's done for him. Only reason I say that because I think it's already adapt. Pretty much everybody understands what Pete's gonna say. Like you hit on Mike, that everybody knows his offense. When they was in the Super Bowl, I mean, you had the Legion of Boom. Boom on defense. So you had a secondary, you had a young linebacker core, and so you was like, hey, let's establish the run.
Right.
And I think now, like Freddie Henderson said, hey, the man and Pete gotta go. People tired of the same old speech. I mean, yeah. Like I said, I don't know how their salary cap is all made up, because I know Russ gets his money. I know your linebackers get his money. The draft situation, you drafted receivers, but you still didn't help with the O-line or pick up a running back. It's not like you couldn't pick a running back up in the second, third round. We've seen it proven that there's a lot of good running backs.
Good one in the 6th round, really, but
yeah.
But I mean, could it be something that you're talking about that eight straight, the 9 playoffs 9 years in a row, or 8 of the 9 years that he's been there? I hear the divisional losses, but it's always, dance with who brought you. What's better the Seahawks can get as a coach out there than Pete Carroll?
Right.
But I mean, you could look at a lot of teams. You could take the Bucks when they had Tony Dungy, division round loss.
Right.
And you bring what's his name in, Gruden, Super Bowl. Like, I think sometimes it's over years you reached your peak, because now like his height was the Super Bowl. Now everything was all downhill for him. And besides that, I mean, who had Seahawks winning at least the second and third round this year? I didn't, or the year before. Like,
they didn't have them coming third in the division. Like,
yeah. So I mean, I think that's one of the things. So I think, like you said, it's time for them to move on with them. Now, speaking of the Seahawks, we might as well go. They added Adrian Peterson. He's still hanging around. And are you surprised that they hired Adrian Peterson before they hired Bell? Randy?
I'm not really surprised, because I think Pete Carroll touched on it. Kind of goes back to the tired speeches. He talked about his veteran presence. One thing that did stand out to me, kind of when the Titans brought him in, it seems a little bit like a rental for that veteran presence, because Pete Carroll even touched on it. He's not here for show. He's here to help us win a game. So, I mean, is that how short-sighted we're looking? Is he really looking to get him to win a game?
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's what, like I said, Collins and Dallas. This is the one time I'll say it on here. Who the fuck is Collins and Dallas? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who are they? We don't have any faith in you. There is nothing we can base that off of. And that's no disrespect to them, but when you're Pete Carroll and you understand, we need someone who understands how to win a championship, because years have passed. The Legion of Boom is gone for the most part, and I feel like, not to get off topic, but it all started. The fall of Pete Carroll all started with trading for Jamal Adams, because I felt like, one, you're an offensive-heavy minded guy. And it all should have went straight to the offense. You should have been getting these picks. You should have been getting these guys. You should have been bringing in more of an offensive line structure. Instead, you tried to replicate the Legion of Boom, and it just hasn't been that. So I feel like there's a lot of different ways this can go. So bringing in someone like AP, it's definitely something where you look at it and you go, all right, well, this is a certified veteran. He understands how to win. He hasn't tasted a championship yet, and we want to see if we can do something here. Now, short-sighted, it's not going to happen. Both sides know that. AP just wants to keep playing, and Pete Carroll wants to try to show something before the end of the season so that he can sit at that office table and say, well, look what happened after you gave me a real running back. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a name brand, Coach. We've talked about it many times, and it's no disrespect. I grew up on AP. I love AP. Watching him as a Viking for all those years, he tormented me, but I love the guy. But it's a name brand now. You are getting signed because of your name, not because of who you currently are. So if AP has a couple good games, that's amazing, and I'm happy for him. But I don't think this is an expectation of being like, okay, we're going to start winning games solely because of Adrian Peterson.
So you don't think Le'Veon Bell is better than the older Adrian Peterson, Mike?
Like prime for prime?
Like right now for now. Ain't no prime because it's over.
I don't think so at all. But my thing with Le'Veon is, and coach, we've talked about it time and time again. I just feel like you lost that second gear. When you took that year off to bet on yourself, you never came back with the same athleticism or that same second gear drive that we see athletes have. You know, that stuff that you can't teach if you don't keep going with it. And I'm a former athlete, coach, you're a former athlete. I feel like you understand as well. You know, I took a year off just to fully heal my shoulder. And I realized I lost that second drive, that second wind, and I'm still to this day trying to get it back. It's never going to be what it was. It'll never be that high ceiling that it once was. So I feel like even, especially in a league like this with Le'Veon, if you take a year off just to mess around and just to chill out and do home workouts, we've seen it time and time again, coach. You talk about the pandemic all the time, how offensive lines and running backs have changed because practices are so different now. We're seeing guys who are traditionally solid take a step back because they're not getting those reps that they normally get. So for him to miss an entire year, I feel like just affected the entirety of the rest of his career. And it just shocked it. And right now, for a locker room standpoint, I'd probably rather want Adrian Peterson than Le'Veon Bell, just because Le'Veon Bell is just not that he's a cancer, he's just to himself. With Adrian, at least Adrian understands, like, all right, I'm in a veteran type role. We saw him in Detroit with Swift and how he mentored him. We saw him go to Tennessee and not try to be that number one guy. He wasn't forcing his way to be that. So this way, you can kind of instill him in this offense without having this big expectation.
Yes. Like Joe said, and he agrees with you, Mike. It was a pre-pandemic. The CBA changed practice habits for the worse. I truly agree. I think it pretty much, you can see the separation between the good teams and the bad teams. But right. I would say this: NFL did a great job with the scheduling because you don't know who's going to win majority of the time now.
Yeah.
So I would give him credit for that. Freddie again comments: Bell never had a reputation of a hothead. He just made a mistake by taking the money. And I agree with you. That is true.
No, I hear you, but that stuff with Andy Reid, you can't ignore it and say, okay, well, you didn't just yell at one of the greatest coaches of all time because you were dog shit and he didn't want to use you. Like that's just how it really was.
Yeah, and I agree with what everybody said. I think one thing about Adrian Peterson, and you will never knock away from him, he works hard.
Right.
He's a hard working. Yes, sir. No, sir. Let's go. Let's figure it out. So I think it's like you said, you bring them in and they're looking for a win. They need something. They need some fresh. Like Adrian Peterson is trying to at least make it through the whole year. The rest of the year, get his stats up because, like I said, man, he's a bona fide Hall of Fame player. Now it's just
no doubt.
It's just where you're gonna be ranked. I really truly believe that. Moving on, I saw it Friday night. Big Ben. He said this is pretty much his last season in Pittsburgh, meaning that he's still trying to play next year.
Right.
So what you think, Mike? Because I saw how you looking down there at the bottom.
And it all comes down to me at the end of the day of what holds true, and what happens in the future. Now, right now, if I had to tell you a team I think Big Ben goes to, I couldn't really tell you. But if Aaron Rodgers is to leave Green Bay and Devontae Adams gets franchise tagged and Aaron Jones is still there, A.J. Dillon, I could see Big Ben going to Green Bay, just trying to one last shot. Let's try something. Let's do something. Because at the end of the day, it as much as I hate to say it, it is a respected franchise. And it would honestly be his best opportunity. They're not ready with Jordan Love. He would be more of a Teddy Bridgewater in Denver type of gap guy, while you're still looking for the next gap. So you look at it like that. There's no expectation with Ben. If we do well, that's awesome. If not, it's Jordan Love's season. So I feel like with that situation, I don't want him to go to Washington. I feel like Heineke or Fitzpatrick are definitely more instilled in this offense. I'd rather have them throwing the ball than Big Ben. Heineke's fast too. Like this guy's, we all know what Big Ben is. He's a statue out there. And that line, as good as they are, aren't going to protect him. But it's definitely something where we're in a weird point right now. I feel like for the majority, even the Chicago Bears, coach, you may say what you say, but everybody in the league is pretty comfortable with the quarterback they have. I don't really see anybody other than Pittsburgh and maybe one or two other teams that really questions like who's their QB1. Like that's really how I look at it. And there's not a lot of places where teams are gonna like throw a lot of money at Ben. And at the end of the day, it all comes to what is his worth? Are you taking a backup role or are you taking a starting position role? Because it's going to be another Cam Newton situation then to me.
Hey, you really hate Jordan Love, I see.
I don't hate him. I just know he's not ready.
So why is that?
Jordan Love's not ready for a lot of reasons. One is where he came out of college, what he did was amazing, but the talent he was playing against did not prepare him for the NFL. So sitting for a couple years, and it's not even just that, it's his athleticism doesn't get him that far. With Justin Fields, we see, okay, Justin's not fully ready. Justin's not ready to be in the NFL as at this moment. We understand that he's still, like Coach, you always say, you've said it from day one, reading defenses definitely is something that you need to get better at, more inclined at, decision-making, getting the ball out of your hand. But at the end of the day, if everything goes to shit, Justin's rolling out because he runs a 4.4 flat, and he's one of the most athletic QBs right now. But you look at it like that, with Jordan, he's not. So he can't read the defenses. He's not making great decisions. And his athleticism only takes him so far. And that far is being the third string quarterback on your franchise team. And that's just how it is. Like he couldn't even beat Bortles in the preseason. That speaks volumes. So I'm just saying from that perspective, if Ben could be a bridge gap quarterback, maybe chill here in Green Bay for 2 years. By here, I mean there. I'm nowhere close there. But it's definitely something I think in the realm of possibility, especially if Rodgers leaves. You can't just rock out with Bortles and let Minnesota take over the division or let the Bears take over the division. That's not something they are accustomed of doing. They'll definitely make a move because they'll have the money to do it. So whether Ben wants that role or not, who knows? At the end of the day, again, I hope it's not like a Cam Newton situation where he thinks he's going to go in there and throw the ball 40 times. Like, he's going to have to understand your role is going to be very different on this new team. I would just personally retire.
Randy, what you think? Big Ben.
I think that is what he's going to do. He's going to retire. I think this people are getting caught up in the words. This is his last season with the Steelers, but I think this is it because look at what we've seen. Look at the body of work that he's been the last 2 seasons, especially this season. A lot of that is around the talent around him, and the Steelers just aren't as good as we thought they would be. But Ben he's always been immobile. But now he can't even move. He can't shake off those defenders that are coming at his feet. He can't push them off like he used to. So I think that we really just need to start thinking about appreciating the career that he had because, not to change the subject a little bit, but over the course of his career, I feel like Big Ben gets overlooked a lot when you start talking about he's a Hall of Famer for sure, but you're talking about a guy who 18 years with a team. That's an NFL record with one team. You're talking about a guy that's over 62,000 yards, 400 touchdowns. He's going to be in the top 10 when he retires, hopefully this year, in almost every statistical category there is. And I feel like he constantly gets left out of those, not top 5, top 10, top 15 quarterbacks of all time. So I think he'll retire, and I think he'll go down as the greatest Steeler quarterback of all time.
Yes, I totally agree. I think Big Ben was just in the wrong era to where you could say Eli because he won 2 Super Bowls. You could say Aaron Rodgers. You could say Tom Brady. You could say Peyton Manning, especially being in the AFC. So
even
like
Phillip Rivers was his draft partner.
Yeah, so it's like you always had to compete with those 3 quarterbacks in the AFC, and it was like, I mean, come on, we talking about Tom Brady's the GOAT, and Peyton Manning was right behind him. So I think that's one of the things he kind of gets left out because of that being in that era. But I mean, I agree with both of you. I think he's going to retire because next year, if you sit here and you really think about it, there's only 2 teams, two maybe 3 teams that's looking for a quarterback. Right. You can say the Denver Broncos, you can say Carolina Panthers. Because one thing about Washington, they like who they got. If that was the case, they would have tried to make trade or make moves earlier, or try to get in the draft and get one. So they like Heineke. But and then on top of that, it depends on what the 49ers going to do. Are they going to let go Garoppolo? You'll pick Garoppolo, Jimmy over Big Ben.
Right.
So I really believe that, and I totally disagree with you. I think Jordan Love's going to be all right because they have a nice staff. I'm gonna say it again. I think Aaron Rodgers is not leaving. On the reason I think
it wasn't a shot at Jordan's future. It was just as of right now, Green Bay's never been one to force a quarterback to go out there and ball out. Now Chicago, we'll throw you out if you have one eye and one leg. Like we'll do it. Like we don't give a shit. Wear the jersey and you have to be like that. That's just how it is. But Green Bay understands like Aaron wasn't ready for how long. You know what I mean? Like Brett throwing 20, 30 interceptions a year. Like they still had him going out there. They didn't put Aaron in, and they're only putting him in because of the COVID situation and stuff like that. But I think Jordan will be fine. Do I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback ever? I don't know. There's a lot to that. I still need to see how he develops. But I think in the next 1 to 2 years, I don't think Jordan Love's your guy. I would rather go with Garoppolo. I'd rather go with Cam, Ben, or someone along those lines, just so he can fully get invested in this.
No, I think what people mess up with Jordan Love is when you saw him play against the Kansas City Chiefs, people got to realize Aaron Rodgers didn't get popped to Thursday, so he didn't get practice time with him. And then on top of that, he didn't get his receiver. The 2 starting receivers didn't come back to Friday, so you just pretty much got a day with these guys. And I think the coach he was very hesitant to call plays. And he said it after the game. He's like,
so now we're having this conversation. But when it happened to Fields, you were all over.
No. The coach said it. I didn't say it.
Crazy. This is crazy, Randy. This is
Mike.
Crazy. When my boy got popped 9 times,
Mike,
there was no feelings towards it.
Mike, can I ask you a question? Did your coach say after the game that it was his fault?
No, he said, let's find out the whys.
There you go.
Every single week.
I know. Time out. Did I not say the coach said it was his fault because it was the game plan that he put out?
Coach. I wish I had one like that.
I'm just telling you, that's what he said. Like I said, I think he should have pulled the trigger. But then you got to realize something too. If Aaron Rodgers leaves, that's $40 million that you can play with. So that means you can bring another lineman in. You can bring another receiver in.
But answer me this, Coach. Why is Rodgers leaving in the first place?
I said if. I don't think he's leaving.
Well, why would he be leaving? Because they don't spend regardless of how much money they have.
They do spend. They don't have no money.
What I'm saying is throughout the history, they haven't spent. They've just drafted accordingly. And that's the main reason why he's gone is because he throws out decisions. Hey, get me Odell. No, we're not getting Odell.
Hey, no, stop. Time out. They did offer Odell.
They offered him minimum.
Peanuts.
But just because of the money.
No, but here's what really went down, though, Vic. I'm telling you right now how it went down because I followed it the entire time. What went down is this. They had the money to actually match what the LA Rams were offering him. They didn't want to do it because they said, oh, but we're trying to the excuse was we're trying to re-sign Devontae Adams. Now, that's neither here nor there because that money wouldn't even go into next year. So that was a bullshit excuse, and that even furthers why Rodgers is probably gone because he knows that's bullshit and they know that's bullshit.
But can I ask both of you a question? How far did the Packers win last year?
Championship.
If he ran the ball, no. If he ran that ball in and scored, they would win where probably.
Super Bowl.
No. They would have went to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a conversation to have.
And will we still be having this conversation?
Right.
Probably not.
Who knows?
So like everybody keeps saying, well, hey, he needs receivers, he needs guys. You make it to the NFC Championship, all you had to do was run the ball in. It wasn't like that you only scored 14 points. You scored 20-some plus points. So my thing is everybody keeps talking about that. It was like, well, he doesn't like the situation. Have you seen Aaron Rodgers on the sideline? You watched him from week 1 to now. He's engaged. He's laughing. He's joking. He's next to the head coach. He's not worried about that.
Oh, he has no problem with them, though. He has no problem with them.
But the reality of it is, but you got to realize something when it goes back to that.
Right.
Next year, they have to probably, I think, because this is it. This is Aaron Rodgers' last year on his contract.
Right.
Next year, you're going to have to re-sign him and Devontae Adams.
Right.
So you didn't want to, so what's the point of having OBJ for a rental year?
Because it won't go in the next year anyways.
But he's not gonna keep him.
But you might win a championship.
How come you won't win one now?
Because you only have one real weapon and it's been proven.
But you've been winning now.
You're winning. What do you always say, Coach? This is the regular season.
Yes.
4 times now they've choked in the NFC Championship. Why? Because
no. Stop. Why? Okay, go ahead. Tell me why.
They're not.
Why they choked?
You implement this offense under one thing, and it's Aaron and Aaron only. Now, I think it's going to be very different. When you have A.J. Dillon, it's something where I think you can go into this playoff series and actually do something special. You can have Aaron throw the ball as many times as he wants, but you have A.J. Dillon, you have Aaron Jones, you have 2 guys in that backfield that I think could make a difference. And I feel like, respectfully to Aaron Jones, in the playoffs, he's not always there. And that's one of my biggest knocks on Aaron Jones, is whether he's banged up or whether he's just not getting focused on or targeted on. And that's just my biggest peeve with him. But with A.J. Dillon, I feel like that's a momentum shaker. You know what I mean? But they lose their tight end, who's pretty solid throughout the year for Aaron. He had a lot of connects with Aaron. They lose him to a torn ACL. You have to change that somewhere, because when you're going up against Tampa, who has AB, Gronk, Evans, Godwin, all these people out there, Fournette, you need to have more than just Devontae's out there somewhere. Lazard is not going to win you a championship, and it's been proven time and time again. Now, you can say if he ran the ball, he would have won a touchdown. That's possible. Or he could have got stuffed at the 1-yard line, and they would have lost it anyway. We really don't know, and we never will know. We could play that game all day long. I don't like playing that game. What if the Bears took Patrick Mahomes? It's a conversation we can have every single day, and at the end of the day, the fan base is always going to cry. So we don't do that, but it's definitely something, though, Coach, where bringing in Odell, it brings in more people that frees up the offense, that Aaron Jones can free up. Now, you look at it, and here's my main question for you. Answer it like this. The reason why we see Aaron Jones getting so stuffed is because they can really only solely focus on Adams and Jones. Now, if you have Odell, Jones, Dillon, Adams, and everyone else, you look at it, and Dillon, you look at it and you say, okay, there's actually people we have to focus on throughout this game other than these 2. Now, without that, I know Devontae's straight. Devontae will be fine. But Aaron Jones is the problem to me that I look at. And the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing this year, you have to get him help, because he hasn't been great. Let's just be real.
Randy, go ahead and speak. I'll let you go because you want to say something.
Well, I'm just not sure that bringing in Odell means a championship either way, too, because, yes, he's talented. But, I mean, I think that we've seen the distraction in the locker room, and there's even the OBJ curse that people talk about. I mean, I'm not saying it's all his fault the Rams are struggling, but since he's been there, what have they done? What did the Browns do when he was actually healthy and playing? What did the Giants do at the end? I don't know that maybe the talent-wise, he's probably one of the top 5 best receivers in the game. But as far as a locker room guy, we talked about it with Adrian Peterson, how he was a guy that stabilized your locker room. Right. I think that a lot of the perception is that OBJ is the opposite of that, a sideline distraction and a locker room distraction. And I don't think you add that in with Aaron Rodgers and his emotional state when things don't go right. I don't know if that's the best thing to do. Right.
But I'm just saying, in that state of mind, if you're that front office, and Coach, you made up a great point too. You said he's laughing on the sideline, he's doing this, he's doing that. But what you fail to realize is, and I went through it in Chicago with Michael Jordan and them, he posted at the beginning of the season, and it's crazy because Devontae Adams actually posted it too, the image of The Last Dance, the image of the front page of it. They both posted that. They both understood this is the last dance. What I'm trying to tell you is I understand everything looks sweet, but even in The Last Dance, Phil Jackson, Scotty, Mike, Rodman, they all knew it was the end, but they had a great time. And they had a great year, and they just went out to play ball, and they won a championship. My thing with Aaron is Aaron understands this is the last dance, but he's not going to sit there and pout every single game and say, I'm tired of this. He has no problem with LaFleur or any of them. It's the front office he had beef with.
But it goes back to it. And this is the guys on the truth. With OBJ. If they sign OBJ, they wouldn't win. Because you know what? Here's the one thing that you got to realize. And I think the Rams just played stupid. I said it from the beginning in the playoffs. The Packers can't beat the Bucs. You can't beat the Rams. You can't beat the Bucs. You know why? Because they stopped the run. So now Aaron, you have to throw the football. And guess what else? You can't throw screens. You know why you can't throw screens? Because they man press you. They're going to bring heat. So now all the little short stuff that you do, so the yards after catch that they make, now you have to go vertical. So
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things, regardless of the situation. I mean, what they post, a lot of people post a lot of stuff. How many times every last one of us?
That one. That's
No, no, no,
very
no.
specific. That was
No,
very specific.
Come out. How many times you might not have posted, or you said to yourself or someone that's important to you, like, man, about a job that you had that you hate,
Right.
and then guess what? A month later, they give you a bonus and this, and that. You like, hey, man, this ain't bad.
Now here's the difference, though, Coach. They gave him a bonus, and instead he said, "Change my contract to a 1-year deal."
Mike, if Aaron Rodgers leaves, I even tell you this: if he leaves, I guarantee Devontae Adams not leaving, because that $40 million, that sucker's finna go somewhere.
It's not even that, though. Is one, a lot of people have a misconception of how the league works. This isn't Madden. Now, if you play Madden right now, franchise, and I was playing it the other day, just messing around, I had the day off. You know, Devontae Adams is a free agent at the end of the year. I always pick him up. No one wants to sign him, have no idea why. Is what it is. Here's my problem. No one understands how the franchise tag works. So Devontae Adams isn't going anywhere, even if Devontae Adams wants to go somewhere. Like, if I'm that front office and you lose Aaron and Adams in the same offseason.
But you're not.
No, but what I'm saying is, if it were to if you let them both walk, you're gone. And there's no question about it.
I don't think Aaron, I don't think if Aaron leaves, it's like you said, he has to go somewhere like Steelers, because he respects Tomlin. But other than that, I don't see him leaving, because he's not that guy that he needs an OC, he needs a head coach that trusts, that puts him in a situation to be successful.
Right.
I mean,
I thought Las Vegas was a question. If you told me at the beginning of the season where I thought a possibility was, maybe in a million years you flip Carr and Rodgers together. Now, Las Vegas is a scratch. Like, that's definitely not happening. But yeah, there's very few teams. Miami's one I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. You know, you look at
he sucks in Florida. He ain't won a game in Florida. No,
that's perfectly fine. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. You know he's a California boy at heart, and you know the weather's nice. You have a great wide receiver core there. Gesicki, who else do they got? Parker. They got that kid, Jalen Waddle, and Fuller.
Mike.
If you gonna tell me I'm wrong?
If Miami makes a trade, they're gonna go get Deshaun.
They don't have to make a trade. They could just sign him.
No, they're not gonna race. They're not gonna spend that $40 million for him and then have what's name on chilling on the back that makes like 15.
Trade his ass.
No, they don't. No.
Oh, you gotta trade Tua, bro.
No. It depends on how Tua. Speaking of that, you know what we're getting ready to do? We're gonna go straight to it. We're gonna talk about the playoff situation. We're gonna say who's in, who you really think in and not. I'm gonna go down the list in the order. Top 7. You got Baltimore. You have New England. You have Tennessee. You have the Chiefs. You have the Bengals. You have the Bills. You have the Chargers. Following along with that, you have the Raiders, the Broncos, Colts, Steelers, Browns, Dolphins. So right now, out of the AFC, who do you see going into the playoffs, and who do you see going out of not going to make it this year?
I'm thinking that the Patriots, the way they're playing, they've rediscovered, their recipe. And as a Colts fan, it hurts me to say. It was kind of like when Mike was talking about the Packers. I don't want to say anything good about them ever.
Right.
But Belichick has done his thing. I think that Baltimore, while they're struggling, getting some struggle wins, they're still winning. I think they're going to be right there. I think New England's going to be one. I think Baltimore too. The Titans, they got a injury list as long as a CVS receipt, but they still, they got such a big lead that I think that's going to help them, kind of limp in. Kansas City, that's going to be they're finding their stride at the right time. Not to mention the rest of their division is kind of seeming to lose momentum. Buffalo, I don't think they're going to beat New England. What's going to hurt them is they got New England, I think, twice in the next couple of weeks, right, in the last 5 weeks. So that's really going to hurt them.
They play them tomorrow.
Yeah.
New England has a bye, and then they play them again. Yeah,
that's tough. I think the Buffalo gets in just because of the way the AFC set up, but I don't see them winning the division. I don't see them being a 1 seed. The Bengals are a team that's really got 2 inexcusable losses that they had. I mean, you could be talking losing to the Jets and getting blown out by the Browns. You don't lose to the Jets, coupled with these couple wins that they've had against the Raiders and the Steelers. You could be talking about them as one of the top seeds, but if wishes were fishes, right? So I think they're getting in. And I really struggle with the last one. Obviously, being a Colts fan, I'd love to say them, but I really just think that they've squandered their opportunities. They've had 3 double-digit leads against playoff teams last week against the Bucs. You talked earlier about the Bucs being able to stop the run. They didn't stop the run against the Colts when they actually decided to run the ball, which was something to see, right? But the Colts, again, blew a 10-point lead there, blew a double-digit lead against the Ravens, a double-digit lead against the Titans. So I think they're going to be out, and it starts today with the Chargers. I'm going to put the Chargers in as that 7 seed, and the reason being is because I believe in what Justin Herbert's doing. He struggled the last couple of weeks. I think he gets the ship righted today, and they're going to be on their way to make that last seed.
Mike, what you think?
I've been saying this for a long time. I think the Colts are very close to making it. So I will have the Colts up there. I think the Titans fall apart late on in the season. I
love it.
Again, it's one of those things where, and I hate playing the what if game, Coach, but please, anybody in the chat or anybody in this universe other than that man, name the backup quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. Nobody can do it. That's the biggest problem with the Tennessee Titans right now. Is Ryan Tannehill is really all they have. AJ Brown and his connection just haven't been hitting. That was my biggest thing when they extended Ryan. I was like, I don't really get that. So I'll definitely put the Colts and give them the advantage over that. The Bengals and Ravens, I think, both make it for the AFC North. There's no question about it. Man, it's where it gets difficult because I hate doubling up in divisions, but I don't see a way that the Chargers and Chiefs don't both make it. So that's what 1, 2, 5. That's 5 already. I love what Herbert's doing. Obviously, you have to respect Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, Travis and Tyreek and them. So I think they figured it out. Next, I think it gets really interesting. It gets really interesting late because the Patriots are doing something great. Now, I've been a Josh Allen guy for a while, but it just hasn't been replicating the same as what it was last year in that MVP type season. So you look at it from that perspective and you say, can the Patriots finish? That's the biggest knock right now. Like, you are clicking at all the right times. But here, my biggest thing is this your playoffs right now? That's how I look at it. Like, have you been playing like this to make it in? And then the second you make it in, or the second it gets close to it, you guys get gassed. Because right now they're going full throttle. You can see these guys balling out. They're doing their thing. But, they've been doing this for what now? 6 weeks straight. So, at some point you're going to slip. And I feel like you're in a position right now where it's so close. I mean, we're 8-4 and 7-4 right now in the standings of Patriots Bills. Even the Dolphins are kind of in the conversation at 5-7 for in the hunt. But it is what that is. But it's definitely something where they can't slip. And the problem with that is the Bills are so comfortable with what they've already established. And Bill is so comfortable with what he's already established. The difference is Bill's doing this with a whole new crew. So I'm really curious to see how.
What whole new crew?
What are you talking about?
You said who Bill's doing it with a whole new crew?
You got Mac Jones, you got new wide receivers, you got new tight ends, you got a whole new list of guys. Gilmore's not there. You trusting it? Hey, and they didn't need Gilmore. They have a stud defensive player of the year candidate, one of those corners out there. He's doing his thing right now. He's got like 8 interceptions. He's balling out. They didn't need Gilmore. So it's definitely something though where I look at it and I say 6 weeks of straight great football at some point is going to end. And unfortunately, we're coming towards the end of the stretch of the season. So I think both of them probably make it. But I couldn't tell you what the seeding would be because at any point in time, the Bills could just find their stride, or at any point in time that the Patriots could just ball out. So I don't know. I think it's really interesting. That's my list, but it's pretty basic. I don't really have anybody in the dark horses just making it. If I had to say one team like kind of out of pocket to make it, I think the Raiders could sneak their way in there. By some way, shape, or form, they could sneak their way in there. The way Derek Carr's been playing, he's really been stepping up, leading the league in passing with literally Darren Waller and Renfro. No head coach. I think I really like what they're doing, just being themselves. And I think that's definitely a sneaky candidate. But other than that, I think we basically know who's making it, who's not. I think it's the NFC that's really a question mark.
Well, I don't have the Chargers making it. I actually have the Colts making it. I think Chargers, you have to beat the Chiefs. You got to beat the Broncos, which you got destroyed by. I think the Chargers is a very, 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 very soft team, and a lot of the teams they're going to be physical with them. I actually had the Colts coming in, sliding in that last spot, just because if they run the ball, I don't understand why. Sometimes your coach, he's very, very weird, and he doesn't like to run the ball when you have one of the best running backs in the game right now, especially the best since Henry's out.
Yeah.
So that's a question that I never truly understood about him. Like even last week against the Broncos, I'm talking not the Broncos, but the Bucks. Why you didn't run the ball? But I truly
26 straight dropbacks for Wentz, coach.
I said it.
Nuts.
Oh, I said it that the coach is gonna get past happy because he's gonna look at that secondary like, hey, we can throw on them because they're still hurt, and we're not gonna run the ball. And eventually Wentz is gonna give you a pick. When he drops back 27 plus times, he's gonna give you a pick. And I said that's where Tampa's gonna, they're gonna capitalize and make plays. That's one of the biggest reasons I don't understand. Mr. Taylor, I'm gonna call him Mr. Taylor, how he touched the thing. He should touch the ball 25 plus times. If it's in a screen, pass, whatever, he needs to touch the ball. He's special. But like I said, I like the Colts. They played the Texans today. They'll win. I actually have the Colts beating the Patriots. So I think they'll get in. I think they'll beat the Raiders, and I think they'll beat the Jaguars. Cardinals, I don't know yet. It depends on who's healthy for them. But that's 10 wins. I think 10-6 to get them into the playoffs. I truly, truly believe that. I've not been sold on New England. If you ask me who have they beat in those 6-game winning streak, I know it's the NFL team, but if you look at the schedule and I ask every last one of you, since they lost to the Cowboys, did you really think the Jets was going to beat the Patriots?
No.
Chargers, that was a maybe. Carolina, how they're looking right now?
No.
You take the Cleveland Browns.
Coach, I hear you, but can I just share some knowledge with you?
Come on.
Some knowledge with your own boys. The Bucks, as of late, have played the Eagles, the Bears, the Saints without Winston, Washington, Giants, Colts, which is a good matchup. Falcons, Bills, Saints, Panthers, Jets, Panthers.
But hold on, stop, come out.
You had one good team there.
Come out.
One.
Are we talking about the Bucks or are we talking about the Patriots?
We're talking about the Patriots, but I'm telling you.
Okay. But hold on.
Do you or do you not only play who's on your schedule?
You do.
So then what's to it?
You do. But I'm saying everybody's going on this because it's the New England. It's the whole New England. Oh, well, New England's back or New England's this and New England's that. Look at, they turned it around. But they beat one team that's over 500.
Is this just your hate for Bill, though?
No. It's
I don't know, Coach. I'm looking at your last 7 weeks. You only beat one team that's over 500.
Can I ask you this, Mike?
Huh?
Do you have the Patriots going to the Super Bowl?
Do you have Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl?
Yes. But do you have the Patriots going to the Super Bowl?
I think it's definitely a conversation.
No. So you have them beating the Bills today. Well, tomorrow.
Honestly, yeah. But
Okay.
you got to think about it like this: Bill Belichick, and this is where you have to admit it, is one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the league.
Never
the
not.
Bills have zero running game other than Josh Allen himself. That's just real, bro. You really don't have to. You have a corner who has 8 interceptions on the year. Stephon Diggs has been handled.
Can we flip it?
Go ahead.
How many interceptions? He has 8 interceptions. Did he get a pick, an interception against the Cowboys?
Does a guy get a pick every?
No. Listen, this is what I'm saying.
You're nitpicking though. That's the problem.
No, it's not nitpicking.
It is nitpicking. Randy, if 9 times out of 10 you come to work on the dot, and that one day you come in at 9:01, I'm not gonna be like, damn, Randy. But remember on Tuesday when you came in a minute late? That's
not
crazy,
if I'm a
bro.
star them other 9 times.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. We're nitpicking here. Oh, he didn't have a pick against Dallas. Okay.
No.
Still effective against Dallas.
No. All I'm saying is this, and I want you to really, truly answer this question and just be honest.
Okay.
You trust. So when the New England Patriots lose, don't come on here and say it's Mac Jones' fault. You make sure you say it's Bill's fault that they lose, and they didn't go for it because the reality of it is, all of a sudden, like I said, you play and you look at their defense,
right,
and who they played against,
right. But what have I always been about, Coach? And I tell you this all the time. I've never solely went out there and said, this is just one man's fault. Now, Matt Nagy, even with Matt Nagy, I said the Bears' defense has looked like shit all year. The offensive line is horrible, and Justin hasn't made great decisions. But at the end of the day, when you just keep feeding me that same bullshit, I'm going to say it's Matt Nagy because you're just feeding me lies and you're spoon-feeding me. I'm going to find out the whys. The real question, and we say it every single week, Coach, is why the fuck are you still here? With Bill, at least with Bill, I understand whatever happens throughout tomorrow's game, he's going to build off of that. Mac Jones will become better for having a bad game. And that's just how it is with Bill. Bill will make you a better coach or a better player, a better fucking whatever it may be. He's going to make it better. And that's just Bill. So for me to solely say tomorrow, if they lose that game, I'm blaming Bill, I'm going to blame whoever's responsible because we don't know. Could be the safety. It could be Mac. It could be Hunter Henry. It could be Bill. It could be a bunch of intangible things. It could be his weird son that does weird things with his tongue on the sideline that bothers the hell out of me. He's got to chew tobacco or something. There's no reason you're just doing that. But it's definitely something where I'm not just going to sit here and be like, oh, okay, it's Bill's fault 110%, because it's not. The same way it's not Tom's fault that he's, being the reason that they lose some games, even though you don't want to talk about it. Tom throws 2 interceptions a game on the.
No, don't do that.
No.
One thing about it is
Tom doesn't throw pick after pick.
No. Difference between me and you, I don't go on rants because you know what I say from the beginning. Did I not say Tampa Bay's gonna lose 2 more games this year? Have I not said no? They're gonna lose 2 more games, but I'm not worried about that. Yes. When he played Washington in the first half, he played like crap. Yes, when he played at the beginning of the first 3 drives with the Colts, Brady played like crap. He made some wrong decisions. No, I will never. That's not me. Because regardless, at the end of the day, it's living and you learning. But I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not on the bandwagon with the Patriots. Not because you say, oh well, you coach, you don't have this thing for Bill. It's not Bill. I just truly don't see when they haven't played a team that that match even with them. Because one thing about Matt Jones, and we've seen it when he played the Cowboys, when they press you. The receivers, they don't have a receiver that can beat the one-on-one. Yes, and you've seen it when they played Tampa Bay. He had to throw it more because the secondary was trash, but you couldn't run the football. Like those are things that people don't realize. And when you say you play the Jets, that quarterback doesn't scare me. Whoever they had back there,
whichever one of them, who knows?
And whoever the injury-prone, the Cleveland Browns. I don't even know which quarterback played that game, but I'm saying regardless of the situation, I still have the Patriots. Don't get me wrong. I have the Patriots. I had them losing to the Bills. I had them losing to the Colts, and I have them losing to the Dolphins. Those are 3 wins that I see them win.
All I was trying to say is, Coach, and it's no knock on you, but I looked at the entire schedule and the only contenders, and you would only have 3, but I'll put in 4 just to bother you. You played the Rams, which is quality win, quality. You play the Cowboys, you play the Colts. And then you play the Patriots. And the Patriots at the beginning of the year weren't really your quality type of contender schedule. It's been a relatively easy schedule for
you know why the Patriots win?
Didn't the Buccaneers lose to the Rams though?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But
that's my point.
You know why?
We're gonna sit there. Hold
on. Come on. We lost to the Rams the year before. We lost to the Bears last year. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, like I said earlier, Mike, you said the Patriots wasn't what they were because they were playing winning teams at the beginning of the year. They played one winning
rookie quarterback, and they're figuring it out.
So again, like you keep throwing up these bucks.
I'm just saying though, we're gonna talk about their schedule. The Bucs didn't look that great early on against the Cowboys. They didn't look good against the Rams. They didn't look good against the Colts. They haven't looked good against the 3 teams they played that were contenders. So what are we talking about?
And what's their record between the 2 teams that they played, those 3 teams?
2-1, and that's perfect.
Okay. Is that not a winning record? What is your What is New England's winning record against teams that has a winning record? They're
Right.
one.
Far more with far less.
Come on, man.
How?
Come on, man. You can't. Come on.
Look at that. You talk about it all the time. This isn't Madden. Look at that Madden lineup in Tampa right now. That's an expected win. Now, the Patriots, as long as you're playing good ball, I can't even be mad at you because I can't.
Can I ask you this?
Receiver in there.
Can I ask you this? And I'm be done with it, and we can go on to the NFC.
That's fine. Your hate for Bill is always hot.
Hey, let me ask you this: you look at the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Defense been there. They've been there.
Relatively.
They signed one guy. I'm sorry,
Right.
two guys: a D tackle and a rusher.
Right.
That's it. Everybody else has been on the defense.
Okay.
Offensively,
that's not the problem.
Offensively, I've said it from the beginning. Matt Jones is good. I've never take that away from Matt Jones. Mm-hmm. Matt Jones doesn't have a one-on. He don't have a receiver that can beat the one-on-one. You have guys that are second, third string on other teams that they came from. They weren't the number one receiver because if they were, guess what? They'd still be on the team. You take the two tight ends. Guess what? They were third strings, third looks, both of them. We've all established that, correct?
Right.
Again, Patriots will make the playoffs. They will lose out.
It's fine.
They will lose out first round of the playoffs. Say it how you want to say it. You can believe Mike.
Maybe not.
Mike, because look.
Randy, I'm not a Patriots supporter. I'm just saying they're a lot better than what we're talking about right now.
But the thing about
I agree. I hate the Patriots.
But
I
agree. I agree with you. The Patriots are doing their thing. But for me to sit there and say, hey, Super Bowl, me to put you in the top, let me see these next 4 weeks. And guess what? Right. If they beat the Bills twice, if you beat the Bills twice and you beat the Colts, you know what I'm gonna say? Oh, they for real.
Right.
But Coach, let me ask you a question on that though. Yes, if you got to pick, and we've seen it from the Bills and Josh Allen and that team, you would trust the Bills right now over a Bill Belichick led team. You talk about the one-on-one, the press coverage and all that. I mean, this is no knock. Tom Brady is the GOAT, but we saw that for years that they only had a couple of those guys his whole career there because they're throwing to wide open slot receivers 90% of the time.
But that's what I'm saying. But and I agree with you. But what slot receiver has what Julian Edelman has?
Well, none. But I think that you could. That's
what you have.
Because what did Julian Edelman really have?
A drop.
Come on, man.
Let's be real.
I think they just plug and play for Belichick.
He was the most athletic guy in the room.
Huh?
We're gonna sit here and act like he was the most athletic guy in the room.
Nah.
Come on, bro.
I think it's plug and play for Belichick. I think that the pieces. That's why he was willing to move on from the greatest of all time.
So
it's no knock on Julian.
But that's the thing. But this is what people don't realize. You say when you had Julian at the slot, pick your poison. How are you going to cover it? Are you going to put a corner? Or are you going to put a safety on them? Because if you put a corner in, guess what that means? Now we can run the ball. You put a safety, he's going to be the safety and linebacker all day, no matter what. Yeah. You can say whatever, but he's going to beat that guy.
There's very few guys that are going to be able to catch up to him.
And that was the balance of what they had. And then guess what? If you put that safety down there, guess who's coming across the middle? You had Grunk. So now let's flip it. Are you going to put a corner or a safety? So that's the beauty of it.
And that comes into what Randy's saying, though, is it's a lot of intangibles of why that works.
I know, but what I'm saying is this. You don't have a Julian Edelman. You don't have a Grunk. You don't have a guy that can beat who on that receiver corps for the Patriots can beat the one-on-one. That's what I'm at. That's all I'm asking. Because guess what?
When they name a wide receiver on the
because if you look at it as this, Randy, when they played the Bucks, they really couldn't beat the one-on-one.
Right.
When they played the Cowboys, he threw a pick six because they couldn't beat the one-on-one. And then he scored that last one. What's his name thought the safety was going to come over and take the interception. That's the thing that I'm saying. It is when you look at these guys, and I know I looked at the what's his name chat. Landon said Hunter Henry was the third string. He was first. Hey, Landon. First off,
Allen, a bunch of intangibles to why that was.
When I said when you look at the Chargers, Landon Hunter Henry was the third look. He was never the first look.
Yeah, he was really especially with Justin Herbert, he was barely looked at.
He wasn't the look. Hence the fact they let him go.
He's a touchdown machine in New England, though.
Right. No doubt. But back with Justin Herbert, I just never felt that connection being there. But coach, here's
the only knock that I have that the only good thing. Well, great chance, and I hate that he got hurt. Was the corner White?
Yeah,
when he tore his ACL. That now, like I said, I got to really see how they do it because regardless of the situation, like I said, you can man these guys because there's not a receiver on. They're all ex-players from some other team.
Right.
They weren't homemade. Like, and the reason they're there is because guess what? The Raiders probably could have re-signed.
They didn't want somebody else, right?
They could have re-signed these guys. That's my only thing. That one thing about Bill is a good defensive mind, and all of this, he's a good game coach in games situations. But it's the bringing other guys in offensively. He sucks. He sucks with that. Y'all can say what you want. He never drafted a receiver. He
put a lot of money in this offseason for Hunter Henry. Like that's really at the end of the day how it was. But that was my big point, coach. And we got into this whole thing about are they winning the Super Bowl just because of your hate for Bill. But my biggest point was
that's what you play for.
This is your playoffs to me right now, though. That 6 games winning streak, trying to get in, is the Super Bowl to a lot of New England fans. Right now, it's really we're dogfighting just to get in. And when you get in, I expect them to be gassed because they're giving their all 115% going into it right now. Landon, I don't know if you wrote that twice, but if you did,
I
was about to say yes. But right now, like you look at it, we're not just talking about 6 games. We're talking about another 4 or 5 of just great football. So that's about 10 to 11 games straight of just playing great football, trying to get your way through with a rookie quarterback. It's definitely a situation where by the time you get to the playoffs, coach, the reason you sit there and you say, why aren't they Super Bowl contenders? It's not even just the roster as a whole. It's just that for the majority, look at Green Bay. Green Bay in week 17 is probably not starting anybody.
But if you say this, and I'm sorry for cutting you short. Did you watch the Patriots and Titans game?
I got glimpses of it. I didn't catch the whole thing.
So it was a tough one to watch.
But it was a tough one to watch. But honestly, truthfully, if you look at it, 2 fumbles and an interception,
right?
That game would have been. Think about and this is the thing that I think about is this: if I had Derrick Henry on the 1-yard line, he's not throwing the football.
Right.
He's running it right behind. He's going to
unless you're Pete Carroll and Marshawn Lynch.
Unless you're Pete Carroll, and I think that's those are the things that when I watch the game, I sit here and say Texans. Okay, if you put my money on the Texans and Colts, I bet my house on the Patriots winning against the Texans.
Right.
Every time. Or the Jets. I will bet my life salary on the Jets losing to the Patriots right now. Every time. I just said when I look at the Titans game, the Patriots didn't beat the Titans.
Right.
The Titans beat themselves with the stupid mistakes because you got 3rd, 4th string guys playing those positions. But moving along, man, because we got to go. We can go all day with this. Hey, NFC. Here, I'm going to call it out. 1 through 7. You have the Cardinals. You have the Packers. You have the Bucks. You have the Cowboys. You have the Rams. You have the 49ers that are in, and you have Washington. Close with 5 and 6, and the rest of these guys. Vikings have a 5 and 6 record. Everybody else have a 5 and 7. You have the Falcons, Eagles, Panthers, Saints. Mike, go.
Man, bro, it pisses me off because it's like I just saw it today on Barstool Chicago. It was like, oh, the Bears are in the hunt. We're only a game back from being the wild card. And I was like, bro, kill it with fire. Like, don't do this shit. Like, just move the hell along, please. Like, I'm not doing another wild card exit where Justin Fields will win Nickelodeon MVP. Like, I could give a fuck about that. But for the NFC as a whole, the Vikings, I think, are going to make a big noise. The Packers are obviously making big noise. The Rams, the Cardinals. The Rams and Cardinals are a weird situation because I like the 49ers schedule coming up and the way that Rams defense has been looking. I think you can make a case that the Rams might actually miss the playoffs. Like there's a slight chance that they can just if the 49ers click at the right time. And they're doing it without Trey Lance. Like they're completely content with Jimmy Garoppolo. They're living it out with Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's working pretty well. So if that can continue to go through and thrive, I see no reason why the 49ers aren't in the conversation the same way we have the Rams in the conversation. But the Cowboys, obviously one of those teams. The reason I don't have Washington or the Eagles is a big reason of the West. I feel like record-wise, you're going to look at it and you're going to have that conversation of, at the end of the day, who has the most wins and what are we doing here? The Bucks obviously are going to be in it. But yeah, that's pretty much my list for the front of it. I could see the Eagles turning things around and getting a wild card spot. I like what Jalen Hurts is doing. I've been a Jalen Hurts guy for a long time. I watched him in Oklahoma. But I do think it pains me to say it. They could have had Devontae Smith and Justin Jefferson, and they would have been dogs. They would have been dogs for sure. But I forget who they picked, but they picked somebody. It didn't even matter. But the Eagles I think are on the come up very quickly. But that's pretty much my list relatively. But I'd keep my eye on Minnesota and San Francisco.
Randy?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty echo the same list. I think the Vikings are going to be the team that gets that last one. And not that I'm a big believer and think they're going to make a bunch of noise. I just kind of like the way the schedule sets up. I agree with everything you said, Mike, about the 49ers. I actually think they will win that division because the Rams are just in a downhill slide. Stafford.
You think the division?
I think they're going to win the division. I do, because I think that the 49, I mean, no, they're going to be above the Rams. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Like they're 3-4 games back right now.
My bad. I meant they were going to overtake the Rams in the division.
Right. Yeah, they're only right now. They're only one game back.
They're a game back, and the way that Stafford's playing, I think that the knock on him his whole career is puts up big stats but can't win the big game. And as they're getting into these crunch time games, we're seeing that play out. He's throwing pick sixes. They're not running the ball like they should. And since OBJ's been there. They kind of went all in, right? You make the trade for Von Miller, you sign OBJ, and none of their moves have really worked out. I think looking back on it, maybe you were better off just leaving it status quo, and then you weren't losing 3 games in a row.
Right.
I think that the Bucks, obviously, the Cowboys, I think those are easy ends. Packers and Cardinals. I do think that the Packers are going to be the 1 seed, and the only reason that I say that is because I think the Cardinals' schedule is a little bit tougher going into the last 5 games, and I think the Packers kind of sets up nice. They got some games that I feel like they can win. If they go 3-2, I think they can win. Get that 1 seed and home, which would matter a lot. That matters a lot to Green Bay to have your NFC Championship game, in Lambeau. I know we've seen them lose there before. I'm fully aware. I just kind of feel like the way that it's going, and then it is a lot more likely that Aaron Rodgers comes back. If they're on a roll and get there, and maybe he does run it in this year, Coach.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you hit on it too. What we talked about at the beginning of the show is a big thing of why you bring in Odell and why you bring in Von Miller isn't because of what they're doing right now. It's because they are a name brand. You want them based off of who they were and what they could potentially bring if they click with these guys. The same way with Adrian Peterson. You don't believe that Adrian Peterson's going to win you a game, but you hope that off that name brand that there's something that's going to click and something that's going to rejuvenate. And that's honestly the Von Miller situation is everybody thought this was going to be one of the monsters, like the 85 Bears type defense because of bringing in Von Miller. And that just wasn't the case. He's just been injury ridden ever since the Super Bowl. And it's been rough. And Odell is the same situation where it's like, Odell is great. Odell to me, and coach gets mad sometimes when I say it, is a human highlight reel. If you love Odell as a highlight reel, kids will watch it time and time again. I could spend 30 minutes watching Odell's highlights of one-handed grabs and just him going off. But that's all I really look at him as. Like, I don't look at him as a leader. I don't look at him as a champion. I don't look at him as someone who has that kind of mindset or a franchise player. I look at him as this guy's a highlight reel. This guy's someone who's really fun to watch. But God, if he was on my team, I'd be so frustrated just because of how underwhelming he is when he's really on the field at this point in his career. So that's the same situation. I think they would have probably been better off if they just left it.
I agree. And I think that if you look back at Odell's career, if you can't get along with Eli Manning, I know a lot of people question where he is in the ranks of all-time great quarterbacks, but every one of his teammates loves the guy except for Odell. And then you look at it with Baker. I mean, it won't be long before him and Matthew Stafford, I'm sure, have some kind of blow up on the sideline, or he gets beat up by the kicking net. I mean, it is what it is.
And if you can't get along with Matt, I don't know what to tell you, because Matt's
nicest guy.
Matt's dealt with some bullshit for a very long time outside of Calvin Johnson and Kenny Galladay. But I've never heard Matt complain once in all of his years in being in Detroit. So if I hear even one thing about Odell come out of Matt's mouth, it just volumes.
Yeah.
All right. To be honest with you, I got I got all six. I got Cardinals, Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, Rams, and 49ers. I think it's gonna be a toss up between Washington and the Vikings for that last spot.
Yep.
Just because I don't trust the Falcons. Falcons lose today. I got them picked to lose, so they'd be 5-8. Eagles had their. I truly believe Eagles had their chance when they lost to the Giants. Hurts threw two stupid interceptions inside the red zone. I think that really Panthers. I said it with Cam Newton doesn't fit what the offense is trying to run. They should go back to the other quarterback and just use Cam Newton inside the red zone. And the Saints are the Saints. It is what it is.
It's a bad time.
Yeah. But
Coach,
go.
you forgot.
Who?
I'm in the hunt, bro. You got anything to say?
Nah, because you want him fired.
My fault.
No, you want him fired. So I'm.
I was just curious.
No, what's weird is you both picked my team to make it in the AFC, and I didn't. I think I'm trying some reverse psychology, seeing if I don't pick them, what's gonna happen.
It's all good. Like I said, you wanted them fired.
Oh, most definitely. Oh, dude, make the wild card again just to get out. I've been saying, Randy, I've been the guy. I've been saying it for years. I wanted him out. I was a Mitch guy. I didn't think Trubisky was good, but I felt like you definitely could win with him. The same way Tannehill, the same way with a bunch of guys. But yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm just ready to. I'm happy. It's all full circle. Everyone's with me now. I used to be the only Mitch guy in the room. Now everyone's saying sorry. It's a beautiful feeling. It really is.
But the thing about it is you can't you comparing Tannehill to Mitch. I said it from the beginning. Mitch, Tannehill, you can see Justin Fields, they're athletes playing quarterback. Because like you said earlier, if Justin Fields don't see nothing open, what he's gonna do? He's gonna take off.
Right.
That's one of the things. And the hardest thing for them is trying to teach them to play the quarterback position. Tannehill got blessed with.
Oh, we've seen it happen. We've seen Lamar with
him. Yeah. You see it catch on, but it takes time. It's like that's a process.
I think it's a trend in the NFL. Look at what the Saints are trying to do with Taysom Hill. I mean, it's a quarter.
But
everybody thinks they can catch that lightning.
That was my thing. We talk about it, and we're not going to get into this whole thing. But my biggest problem was, it's going to be a process. Now, to Matt Nagy, no, it's not. You're either going to do exactly what I want you to do right now, or I'm going to get Nick Foles to try to do it. And when he can't do it, I'll come back to you expecting these last 3 weeks of not playing to make you an elite quarterback. Then I'll be disappointed again, get Justin Fields, throw him in, be disappointed that the rookie's not throwing over 400 yards, let him get sacked 9 times. What the fuck are we doing?
Okay.
What are we doing?
And again,
there's no process. It's I need this now.
I agree with you. And Taysom, him, Lamar, Randy. I don't know what do you mean. Who's Lamar?
He's
Randy?
He's saying Taysom's better than Lamar. We're not even giving that airtime.
Oh no,
Jim. No. I love Jim. Jim's a Saints fan. It's all good. It's all love, Jim. It's all.
And he said,
more than a Saints fan, he's a Taysom ride or die to the death guy.
But
I do agree with Joe. I do agree with Joe on the standpoint of if we all had them in their primes, and if Justin Fields develops, he will be the best of the bunch of the quarterbacks.
But the thing about it is, regardless, like I said from the beginning,
right.
when I say they're more of an athletic quarterback, an athlete playing quarterback, doesn't mean that they're not a quarterback. I'm just saying the simple fact of the matter is a lot of it is when you have an athlete playing quarterback, they live off their athletic ability, not playing the quarterback. Just like last night, Bryce Young, if you watched him for Alabama, that's a quarterback that's athletic. Right. That looks to throw the football, and he runs only when he has to, but he rarely runs because if you ever watch him, he looks, and then okay, let me get 3 yards, let me get down. That's the difference, and I think you got to have a coach with an open mind that understands kind of what Harbaugh's doing with Lamar, because if at the beginning it was run, all right, now we're gonna add you a piece of here. Now you got to read this. Now we're going to add you a little RPO.
And that was my point, Coach. Is like we have a guy right now who, all right, Justin, go out there and run for your life. Like, no, we need a set up game plan. You understand Justin can't read offenses.
But that's the thing, but that's the thing too, though, Mike. Because I've coached a kid. This is guys honest truth. I coached a kid. We'll call a rollout, and we like. He's going to run this ball, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I had a kid, Eli. If he's watching Eli Hernandez of my old team, We knew he wasn't throwing that. He probably threw that ball 7 times a game.
But and then that's the thing where and the piggyback off when you say the Bears, I've said it's 50% Nagy, 10% Fields, 40% the front office.
Yeah.
That's my biggest belief on that. But hey, move along because we're short on time. Randy, I don't know if you ever watched this show. I'm the king of picks.
That's crazy, bro. I missed 1 week, Randy. And now I'm down. I don't know what happened.
You're out, man. You're like Nagy and the Bears. Short
No,
time.
no. Says the guy that missed. No, he says the guy that missed. What, you lost 4 games last week?
Ooh.
Man, hey. Listen. It happens, bro. It happens.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna go down. I'm gonna start with the 12 o'clock games. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Who you got and why?
I got Tampa Bay because they're just better than the Falcons. I mean, I don't believe in anything the Falcons are doing. They got Ridley and all that. I'm going Tampa Bay all the way on that one.
Tampa Bay. I don't need to explain that.
No, hey, TB12. Here we go. Arizona, Chicago. I go first. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. Everybody's back healthy, and our goal is, look, I'm gonna be with Mike, so next year he can complain about whoever's the next head coach is.
I will.
I'm gonna go with the Cardinals because I want to see them fire Nagy, and then they put somebody else in there, and the same thing happens.
Yeah, same. I'm going Cardinals because Murray and Hopkins both back.
Yeah, I'll go Cardinals. It's gonna be a weird day though. It's rain and ice in Chicago right now, so we'll see how mobile Kyler is. But yeah, it's pretty bad out here.
Bengals, Chargers. Chargers, Bengals. They had the Cincy.
Huh. That's a good one. I've been saying it all year. I'm gonna say Bengals.
I'm going with the Bengals because I need the Chargers to lose because I don't have them going to the playoffs.
Oh man, West Coast to East Coast. That's a tough one for the Chargers always. I'm going with the Chargers though. Just for one, I'm picking opposite. I got to pick up a game here somewhere. And secondly, Herbert's going to get back on track.
Yeah, he's about 70 back, Randy. Come on.
Randy, we won't do you like that. If you win this week, you win this week. You'll be week.
That's all I'm trying to do.
You'll be week to week.
Hmm?
You'll be week to week.
Give Randy that winning record.
Mike, Mike. I'm at the point we're not going overall record same as you. You week to week also.
I'm vibing, bro. I'm only like 5 back. Relax now.
Mike, you're 9 back, but continue.
Man, hey, this is the week. This is the week.
Hey, here we go. Minnesota versus Detroit. I'm gonna ride with Minnesota because I don't think Lions are ever gonna win a game this year.
I'm going Vikings.
I'll go Vikings, but Detroit's coming. Week 17, baby. Week 17.
New York, Miami. I'm going with Miami because I trust the quarterback for Miami.
Who though?
Quarterback. Sir?
Jets or Giants?
Giants. I'm sorry.
I'll go Miami.
I'm going Dolphins just because they're going to extend that winning streak, but it's not because I trust their quarterback.
Not at all.
Philadelphia versus Jets. Oh, this is a tough one.
Philly.
I don't trust neither one of these sorry teams. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Philly. You got Colts versus Texans. This is actually a bad week of games.
Yeah, it really is.
Washington versus Vegas. The Raiders.
Give me Vegas, baby.
I'm gonna say Washington. I think the Vegas is having a good stride right now of games. But again, I think it's just like the Patriots. I think you're just having good week to week basis. At one point, it's gonna fall.
I'm going with the Raiders. I trust them more. And one thing about something about the NFC East, man, it's like as soon as you really think like, hey, they're gonna do something, they lose. Like the Eagles. Like I picked the Eagles last week. I'm like, oh, they beat the Giants. They find ways to mess stuff up. But here we go. Jacksonville versus the Rams. I'm gonna ride with the Rams.
Rams.
Oh man, how many games back am I?
Now you're a lot. But we're not
Hey,
again.
It's week to week.
No, it's week to week now. No, it's week to week now.
It's week to week now.
Yes. Oh, just found out. They said Minshew is starting, so he's starting for the Eagles.
Oh, for the Eagles?
No, I'm just telling you. I didn't know.
Yeah. Wait, who they playing? They playing the Jets. Is that Zach Wilson starting?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my pick, but I'm gonna say the Rams for this week. But Minshew mania, well, fuck it, let's run it.
All right, Baltimore versus Pittsburgh. I'm gonna pick the Ravens. I think.
Yeah.
Who you got, Randy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens. Pittsburgh's out.
49ers versus Seahawks. I have 49ers.
Same.
Denver versus Kansas City. I'm gonna keep riding with that East Texas boy. I said it from the beginning. Hey, just don't pump your brakes. He's gonna be just fine. Just relax a little bit. So I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah. And
Same.
You know what? I'm going with Kansas City, so that way the Bears can hire Vic Fangio back at the end of the year. Maybe Denver takes Matt Nagy. It'd be a cute little swap. I'm rocking with it.
The Chiefs have won 11 straight versus the Broncos. I think, and they're better. I'm obviously Chiefs.
Perfectly fine saying Chiefs.
Here we go. Monday Night Football. New England versus Buffalo.
New England.
I'm going to go New England too, and the reason being is because the Patriots have forced 20 turnovers since week 5. Josh Allen has 7 interceptions and a fumble in the last 4 games. It's setting up. I mean, you talked about how they haven't beat anybody. They get a chance to beat the Bills twice, and then you're going to have to come on here and show them the respect they deserve.
All right, so
you famous.
I don't know. This ain't even my phone.
You famous, bro. What? Yeah, that's what I say too. That's what I be telling my girl when someone calls. I be like, "Yeah, it's not even my phone, bro."
Kevin Gates, I got 2 phones.
No.
I'm going Buffalo.
I think it's fair.
I'm going Bills. Like I said from the beginning, I never really truly ride with the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna ride with them. I'm gonna ride with them this week.
Let me get a Belichick hater shirt.
That's fine. You can give me one. Thursday night game, last game, fellas. Thursday night, we have Steelers versus Vikings.
Minnesota, I think, by a large margin.
Yeah, I'm Vikings.
I picked Vikings. Only reason, like I said, it's either out of Washington and the Vikings to make the playoffs, and
right. I will say though, just beware. Primetime Kirk Cousins. Dogs.
I'm not worried about it.
How you like that?
How you like that?
I see Jim Cross. What's up, Jim? He picked the Monday night game. He's riding with me. He's riding with the Bills.
Yeah.
I think that's I mean, so far this year I've been kicking it Mike's butt in these picks. Man, so I'm doing something right. Hey, but that's it, guys. That's it for today. Mike, any last words?
Fire Nagy.
Randy. Man,
I'm good.
That's good, man. Thank you for coming on, man. We enjoy you. Hope to see you next Sunday. So I can laugh in Mike's face and yours because you rolled the wave of the New England Patriots.
All right.
It hurts my heart to even do it too. I hate the Patriots. Go Colts.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, one last thing. Hey, follow us on ASAP Network. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Hey, we have merch. Say it again. We got merch. Come see the merch. Come see what we got. Come see the things that we're doing. We're doing great things. We're on TV shows. We got Roku, YouTube. Hey, follows. We need everybody's support. That's it. Hey, y'all have a good Sunday.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365 5, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.